My hands were shaking before I even reached the ridge. The ground was still warm from the strike an hour earlier, and smoke curled up from the broken rocks like the planet itself was breathing hard. I was alone. My team had scattered when the signal went dead, and now it was just me, my light pack, and the small scanner clipped to my wrist, blinking red because something large was moving just beyond the next rise. I dropped low and crawled to the edge of the ridge, and that was when I saw it. A small dragon, curled tight against a broken slab of stone, its wings folded so close to its body that it looked like it was trying to disappear. It was young. I could tell from the softness of its scales, still more gray than black, still catching light in a way that made it look almost fragile. It saw me the same second I saw it, and instead of rising up to defend itself the way every briefing said these creatures would, it shrank back further into the rock and made a sound I did not expect. It was crying. Not the deep growl the reports warned us about, not the screech that was supposed to freeze a soldier's blood. It was a small, broken sound, almost human, and it made my chest tighten in a way training never prepared me for. "Please," it said, in a voice that cracked on the word. "Please don't." I froze there on my knees, weapon still raised, my mind racing faster than my body could keep up with. Every instruction I had ever received told me this moment was simple. These creatures were built for one purpose, and mercy was not a variable anyone expected me to consider. But nothing about the last 10 seconds felt simple. "I won't hurt you," I said, though my voice did not sound as steady as I wanted it to. "Why are you alone?" The dragon lifted its head slightly, eyes wide and shining, and for a moment, neither of us moved. Somewhere behind me, the wind carried the distant hum of a patrol craft passing over the valley, searching for survivors, searching for me. I did not have long. "They left me," it said. "They said I was not ready. They said I would only slow the unit down." I lowered my weapon another inch, still cautious, still aware that everything I had been taught said I should not be doing this. But something in its voice held a kind of honesty that no training manual could fake. "What's your name?" I asked, surprising myself with the question. "I don't have one," it said. "We are not given names until we finish training." I did not finish. There was something in that answer that struck harder than I expected. A creature bred for one purpose, denied even the simple dignity of a name, curled in the dirt and afraid of the very species it was meant to fight. I crouched lower, closing the distance between us just slightly, and it flinched, but did not run. "I need to get back to my unit," I said, "but I can't leave you like this." "You should," it said. "If they find you helping me, they will punish you." "They already think I'm dead," I said. "Let them keep thinking that a little longer." It watched me with a strange mixture of confusion and something close to hope. I reached into my pack and pulled out a small ration bar, breaking it in half and placing one half on the ground between us. It stared at the offering as though it did not understand what I wanted from it. "Eat," I said. "You look like you haven't in days." Slowly, carefully, it reached out one clawed hand and took the piece, eating it in small, uncertain bites, watching me the entire time, as if waiting for the moment I would change my mind. We sat there together as the sun dipped lower, painting the sky in deep orange, and I learned more about this creature in that hour than every briefing document combined had ever taught me. It told me about the vats where its kind were grown, about handlers who measured obedience instead of kindness, about siblings who were sent out to battles they never returned from. It told me about a whisper that passed between the young ones in secret, a rumor that had grown into something like a legend, about one of their kind who had discovered proof that they were never meant to be weapons at all. "Proof of what?" I asked, leaning forward despite myself. "That we think," it said, "that we feel, that we were never just tools. There is a record, hidden by one of the scientists who built us. She could not speak against her own people directly, so she hid the truth inside one of us instead, hoping someone from your side would find it before it was destroyed." My scanner buzzed again, sharper this time, and I knew the patrol craft was circling back. I had minutes, not hours. "Do you know where it is?" I asked. The dragon reached toward the base of its own neck, beneath a loose fold of scale, and pulled out a small dark object no larger than a coin, pulsing faintly with blue light. "She placed it in me before I was sent to the front," it said. "She told me if anyone showed me mercy, I should trust them with it." I took the object with a strange, careful reverence, feeling its light hum faintly against my palm. It felt heavier than something so small should feel, as though the truth itself carried weight. The patrol craft passed overhead again, closer now, and I knew staying any longer meant risking discovery for both of us. I looked at the young dragon, still watching me with those wide, uncertain eyes, and made a decision that broke every rule I had ever followed. "Come with me," I said. "I can't promise what happens next, but I'm not leaving you here." It hesitated only a moment before nodding, folding its wings tighter and following, as I moved low along the ridge, avoiding open ground, cutting through narrow gaps in the rock where the patrol craft's sensors would have trouble reaching. My heart pounded with every step, not from fear of the creature beside me, but from the fear of what would happen if either of us was caught. We reached a narrow ravine just as the light faded completely, and I called in on an old channel I still remembered, one used only for emergencies, hoping someone from my unit was still listening. A voice answered, familiar and relieved, and within minutes, a small transport arrived, its pilot staring at the sight of me stepping out of the shadows with a young dragon at my side. "Explain," the pilot said, though her tone was less demanding and more stunned. "I will," I said. "But first, get us somewhere safe." The flight back to base felt longer than it should have, every second stretched by uncertainty. When we landed, I expected resistance, questions, maybe even punishment for bringing a creature from the other side into our own territory. Instead, I found myself standing before a small group of researchers who listened with growing disbelief as I explained everything, from the crying I heard on the ridge to the small object now resting on the table between us. They studied it that night, and by morning, the entire mood at the base had shifted. The object held records, not weapons data, not battle plans, but proof, detailed and undeniable, that every creature like the one who saved it had been fully aware, fully capable of thought and feeling, bred and used without ever being given a choice. The news spread quickly, not just through my unit, but eventually beyond it, carried through channels meant for far less personal matters. What started as one small act of mercy on a quiet ridge became something much larger, a truth too significant to bury, shifting the way both sides viewed a conflict that had lasted far longer than anyone wanted to admit. Weeks later, I stood beside the same young dragon, now finally given a name of her own, chosen carefully after long conversations about what freedom actually meant. She had chosen it herself, something simple and quiet, fitting for someone who had spent her whole short life without one. "Do you regret it?" she asked me one evening, watching the sunset with an ease she had never shown before. Helping me, I mean. I thought about the ridge, the fear in her voice, the choice I made in seconds that changed everything that followed. "No," I said, "not for a moment." She smiled, an expression I never expected to see on a creature so many had feared, and for the first time since the world had shifted beneath us, I felt something close to peace. What began as one small act of mercy toward a frightened, crying creature had uncovered a truth too powerful to ignore, one that reshaped how an entire world saw the ones it once called enemies, proving that sometimes the smallest choices carry the weight of changing everything.